Love is often loud in movies and songs, filled with confessions, grand gestures, and dramatic declarations. But in real life, real love rarely shouts. It whispers. It shows itself in quiet consistency, in the smallest actions, and in the details only someone who truly cares would notice. When a man is deeply in love, he doesn't always say it outright, not because he doesn't feel it, but because for him, love is something to live, not announce. His affection hides in plain sight, tucked inside everyday behaviors that reveal just how much his heart has chosen you. Most men are taught to be strong, composed, and rational, to control emotions rather than express them. Yet love has a way of slipping past those defenses. It softens them. It makes them more observant, more patient, more protective, and often more vulnerable than they'd ever admit. A man in love might not text long paragraphs or make constant romantic speeches, but you'll see his feelings in the way he looks at you, listens to you, and remembers the things you thought he forgot. His love language isn't always verbal, it's behavioral. Every choice, every glance, every small act becomes a piece of his emotional truth. You'll see it in how he notices your smallest moods, how he mirrors your laughter without realizing it, how his tone changes when you mention another man, or how he asks for your opinion before making decisions that matter. These subtle shifts reveal something profound, that you're not just part of his life, but part of his thinking. You've entered his emotional space, the part of him that quietly plans around you, worries about you, and celebrates you. He may never say the words, "I need you," but his actions will whisper it every day. This kind of love is calm, yet powerful. It doesn't demand attention. It earns it. It's not impulsive or dramatic. It's intentional. It grows in moments of trust, respect, and understanding. A man in deep love finds comfort in your presence and purpose in your happiness. He begins to protect you without being asked, admire you without needing to own you, and evolve because of you without realizing it. You'll find that he starts becoming better, not to impress you, but because you make him want to rise to the level of the love he feels. Psychology calls these behaviors emotional alignment, when someone's actions and energy unconsciously sync with the person they love. It's not manipulation or performance. It's the purest form of connection. It's his soul recognizing another and responding in quiet devotion. So if you ever wonder whether a man truly loves you, don't just listen to what he says. Watch what he does when no one's watching. Observe the small details, how he protects you, how he remembers you, how he looks at you in silence. Because real love doesn't always arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it comes wrapped in subtle moments, steady, sincere, and unmistakably real. He remembers the smallest details about you. When a man truly falls in love, it's rarely about grand gestures or dramatic declarations. Instead, love reveals itself in the smallest, quietest ways, in the details he remembers when no one is watching. He might not say, "I love you" every day, but the way he recalls what you said weeks ago, the song you hummed once in the car, or the color you wore on your first date, that's where his emotions live. A man in love listens differently. He doesn't just hear your words. He stores them like pieces of a puzzle that help him understand who you are beneath the surface. When you talk, he's not just nodding politely. He's absorbing. He remembers your favorite tea brand, the movie that made you cry, the way you talk about your childhood dog. He might not mention these things right away, but they show up later in small surprises. He'll bring you that tea after a long day, quote a line from your favorite film, or mention a story you told months ago. It's his way of saying, "I see you," without using the words. This kind of attention isn't about perfection. It's about emotional presence. He wants to connect with your world, not because he has to, but because your happiness matters to him on a deeper level. When men love, they become quiet observers. They study your reactions, your tone, the way your eyes light up when you're excited, or how you withdraw when you're hurt. They start to learn your emotional language, when to comfort you, when to give you space, and when to simply sit beside you in silence. These small memories and observations become their emotional roadmap to loving you right. To him, remembering isn't just affection. It's a form of devotion. Even in conversation, he recalls your previous words to show continuity. He'll reference something you mentioned long ago, maybe a dream you had or a place you wanted to visit, just to remind you that he's been paying attention. That's how men express love silently, through consistent memory. It's not selective memory like remembering birthdays or anniversaries. but the emotional kind, the scent of your perfume, the phrase you often use, the way you push your hair behind your ear when you're nervous. Psychologically, this behavior stems from emotional imprinting. When a man is emotionally invested, his brain unconsciously associates small details with the person he loves. You become part of his internal world. Your preferences, fears, and habits stay in his mind because they trigger emotional comfort. He's drawn to the familiarity of your patterns. That's why he might repeat your favorite phrases or smile when he hears a song that reminds him of you, even when you're not around. In truth, a man remembering the smallest details about you is one of the purest signs of genuine affection. It's not manipulation, not effort to impress. It's emotional connection in its rawest form. He may not always say how much he cares, but every remembered word, every repeated gesture, every subtle action says it for him. Because love for him isn't just a feeling, it's memory turned into care. He mirrors your moods. Without realizing it, when a man is deeply in love, something fascinating happens on a subconscious level. He starts to mirror your moods without even realizing it. This isn't something he plans or forces. It's a natural emotional response that comes from deep empathy and connection. When he truly cares, your emotions begin to influence his own, and your inner world starts to shape the rhythm of his day. If you're happy, he feels lighter. If you're sad, he grows quiet and restless. He may not even understand why his mood shifts, but it's because he's emotionally tuned into you, almost like his heart is taking cues from yours. This mirroring is one of the most genuine signs of love because it shows emotional alignment. He feels what you feel. When you're anxious, he'll sense it before you say a word. When you're peaceful, he'll find himself relaxing without knowing why. He becomes emotionally synchronized with you, not because he's trying to control or comfort you, but because your presence has become part of his emotional ecosystem. In psychology, this is called emotional contagion, a powerful phenomenon, where two people in deep connection begin to reflect each other's moods. Naturally, you might notice it in the smallest moments. If you start laughing, he laughs too, even if he doesn't know the joke. When you fall silent, he lowers his tone to match. If you're excited, he becomes animated, feeding off your energy. He's not imitating you to please you. It's his subconscious way of maintaining closeness. His body language often shifts too. He'll lean in when you do, his eyes follow your expressions, his gestures mirror yours. These are all quiet signals that he's emotionally invested. It's as if his mind says, "I want to understand her," and his body responds instinctively. Men often struggle to express emotions directly, so this kind of silent syncing becomes their emotional language. Through mirroring, he's saying, "I'm with you. I feel what you feel." He might not verbalize support, but his reactions show empathy in motion. This mirroring also creates a sense of safety. You begin to feel understood without explanation, and he feels connected without needing words. Over time, this shared rhythm strengthens your emotional bond. Your moods begin to influence each other more fluidly, creating a deeper sense of intimacy. Even during disagreements, this mirroring reveals itself. If you become defensive, he might mirror that tension. But when you soften, his tone softens too. It's a reminder that emotions in love are contagious. They ripple between hearts quietly but powerfully. A man who mirrors your moods isn't weak or overly sensitive. He's emotionally awake. His empathy is proof that your feelings matter enough to shape his internal weather. When he mirrors your joy, he's celebrating you. When he mirrors your pain, he's carrying a piece of it with you. That's what real love looks like. Not just shared words, but shared emotions. He doesn't have to announce it, because every sigh, every smile, every quiet change in his energy already says the truth. Your happiness is his reflection. 3. He protects you in subtle, everyday ways. When a man is deeply in love, his instinct to protect doesn't always show up in grand, dramatic gestures. It hides in the quiet corners of everyday life. He's not walking around declaring, "I'll protect you," but everything he does quietly says it. Love makes him alert, tuned in, and careful with you. Not because he sees you as fragile, but because he values your peace more than his own comfort. It's not about dominance. It's about devotion. He'll walk on the side of traffic without thinking twice, slow down his pace to match yours, or hold out his hand when crossing a busy street. He checks if you got home safely after a late night, notices when your phone battery is low, and subtly makes sure you eat when you've been too stressed to remember. These actions might seem simple, but they're powerful. They're signs of emotional investment. Protectiveness for a man in love isn't about control. It's about creating safety, both physically and emotionally, in your world. You might see it when someone speaks harshly to you. He won't start a fight, but his body language shifts. He'll step slightly closer. His tone sharpens. His focus narrows. It's instinctive, like his subconscious telling him, "She's my peace, and I need to keep her safe." When he truly loves you, his protectiveness becomes quiet and constant. He doesn't need to prove his strength to the world. He uses it to make sure you feel secure. This protection also shows in emotional spaces. If he senses you're overwhelmed, he'll take on tasks without being asked. If someone upsets you, he'll listen before reacting, trying to understand how to shield your heart next time. He learns your emotional triggers, not to avoid them for himself, but to help you navigate them gently. When he notices you retreat into silence, he won't demand an explanation. He'll just stay nearby, present and steady, until you're ready to speak. That's his version of guarding your soul. Psychologically, men express love through protection because it gives their feelings purpose. It's how they translate emotion into action. For a man in love, your safety, your comfort, your calm, becomes a reflection of his care. He feels responsible for your peace, not in a controlling way, but in a deeply emotional one. Even when you insist you can handle things alone, he'll still check the locks, send a message to ensure you arrived safely, or remind you to take a jacket when it's cold. These are his love letters, written in small acts of care. He protects you not just from danger, but from the small daily storms. Your stress, your exhaustion, your moments of doubt. When he says, "Text me when you get home," it's not habit. It's heart. When he fixes something you didn't even ask him to, it's not duty. It's love in motion. He might not say, "I worry about you," but every subtle act of care translates it perfectly. That's the beauty of real love. It's rarely loud. A man who loves deeply doesn't need grand speeches. His protection is wordless, constant, and sincere, a quiet promise that says, "You're safe with me, always." He gets quiet when you talk about other men. When a man is truly in love, his silence can often speak louder than his words, especially when the topic turns to other men. He might smile politely, keep his tone calm, or even act as though he's unbothered. But deep down, something shifts inside him. His voice softens, his body language tightens slightly, and he retreats into thought. That silence isn't indifference. It's a quiet storm of emotion that he's trying hard to control. He doesn't want to appear jealous or insecure, but the idea of someone else having your attention unsettles him. Even if you're only mentioning a coworker or an old friend, he feels a flicker of tension. It's not about possessiveness, it's about vulnerability. When a man loves deeply, the thought of losing emotional ground with you hits him harder than he expects. He may not verbalize it, but internally he's asking, does she think about him the way she thinks about me? Men often hide jealousy behind silence because it feels safer than confrontation. He doesn't want to seem controlling or reveal how much he cares. So instead of arguing, he goes quiet. His eyes wander, his tone changes, his laughter fades. In that moment, he's trying to protect both his pride and his heart. What he's really doing is recalibrating, processing how to handle his feelings without letting them spill out as insecurity. That quiet pause is him choosing respect over reaction. You might notice small cues. He listens less attentively, shifts topics quickly, or grows thoughtful. But his silence isn't about mistrust. It's rooted in love and emotional fear. He values your freedom and doesn't want to limit your world, yet part of him feels the ache of comparison. It's human. Love awakens both tenderness and protectiveness. When you talk about another man, it subtly reminds him that he could lose what he treasures most: your attention, your laughter, your warmth. In psychology, this is a form of emotional micro-withdrawal, not manipulation, but self-preservation. When men feel emotionally threatened, they often retreat inward rather than express it outward. His silence becomes a way to regain control of his emotions before they reveal too much. Still, his eyes often betray him. A quick glance downward, a longer pause, or a forced smile. That's how you know he's not unaffected. He's simply managing the depth of his care. Over time, this quiet reaction can become one of the most telling signs of genuine love. It means your presence matters enough to stir his emotions. He wants to be your calm, your safe space, but he's also human. He feels jealousy, pride, and fear of being replaced. He'll never admit it openly, but his silence says, "I wish I were the only one who made you smile like that." And the moment you notice his quietness and reassure him, even subtly, by touching his hand, smiling his way, or bringing the conversation back to him, his entire energy softens again. Because deep love doesn't want to compete, it just wants to belong. His silence isn't distance. It's love restrained, a heart that feels too much, learning how to stay composed. He tries to impress you without making it obvious. When a man is deeply in love, one of the most telling yet hidden signs is how he begins to try, quietly, subtly, and often without realizing it. He starts putting more effort into how he looks, speaks, and behaves, but never in an over-the-top way. It's not about showing off, it's about wanting to be seen as worthy in your eyes. Love makes him self-aware in the best sense. He begins to measure his words, pay attention to his actions, and make choices that reflect the version of himself he hopes you'll admire. You'll notice it in small, almost invisible gestures. He might fix his shirt before meeting you, choose cologne he knows you like, or suddenly develop an interest in topics you talk about. When you mention your favorite book, he might accidentally read it. When you talk about your dream city, he might bring it up days later as if he'd been thinking about it too. These little efforts are his unspoken way of saying, "I'm listening, I care, I want you to see me differently." He'll also start sharing small victories, a work achievement, a personal project, or something he built with his hands, not to brag, but because your opinion matters more than anyone else's. The approval he seeks isn't from the world anymore. It's from you. When you compliment him, you'll see that flicker in his eyes, a mix of pride and quiet relief, because deep down, he's been trying to earn that smile from you. Psychologically, this behavior stems from what's called selective effort display. When men fall in love, they channel their masculine drive to achieve and impress toward the woman they love. It's an instinct as old as time, not about domination or ego, but about devotion. He doesn't want to compete with other men. He wants to compete with himself, to be the best version of who he can be for you. He might also begin to subtly mirror your interests. If you love art, he'll mention a gallery. If you're into fitness, he'll start running more. If you value kindness, he'll go out of his way to show generosity in front of you. Yet he'll never make it look deliberate. He'll play it cool, pretending it's just coincidence, but you can feel the intention behind it. He's not pretending to be someone else. He's evolving under the influence of love. Sometimes, his way of impressing you is through effort you'll never see. He might research a topic just to hold better conversations, or work quietly behind the scenes to make your life easier. If he senses you're stressed, he'll step in subtly, offering help without asking for credit. He doesn't need applause. Your comfort is his reward. In truth, a man in love doesn't need grand gestures to impress. He doesn't need flowers or expensive gifts to prove his worth. What he needs is the quiet satisfaction of seeing your eyes light up. That moment when you notice something he did and smile without him asking why. That's the moment he lives for. Because to him, love isn't about being seen by everyone. It's about being understood by one person. And everything he does, every effort he hides, every improvement he makes, it's all a quiet declaration of how much you mean to him. 6. He seeks your opinion. Before major decisions, when a man is deeply in love, he begins to see you not just as someone he adores, but as a trusted voice in his inner world. One of the most revealing signs of this is how he quietly starts to seek your opinion before making important decisions. It's rarely a formal request. You'll notice it in passing questions, in subtle check-ins, in moments where he looks at you and asks, "What do you think?" He values your mind, your intuition, and your perspective more than he lets on. For him, it's not about approval. It's about alignment. He wants to make sure that his choices don't just serve him, but also feel right through your eyes. This habit reveals emotional partnership, even if your relationship isn't defined yet. He may ask for your thoughts on work challenges, family matters, travel plans, or future goals. It's his way of letting you into his decision-making process because, deep down, he already sees you as part of his future. A man who loves you doesn't just want to impress you. He wants to include you. He trusts your judgment enough to let it shape his path. What makes this so powerful is how natural it feels. He doesn't always announce it. He simply integrates your perspective into his choices. You might mention something casually, an idea, a warning, or an insight. and later discover he acted on it. That's because your words linger in his mind long after the conversation ends. When he truly loves you, your voice becomes part of his inner dialogue. He doesn't just hear you. He carries your reasoning with him wherever he goes. Psychologically, this behavior connects to emotional interdependence, the stage of attachment where two people begin to merge their values, instincts, and reasoning. He might not even realize he's doing it. He'll start phrasing things like, "Would you do it?" Or you'd probably say, "I should wait," right? These small references show that he's internalized your perspective. Your way of thinking has become part of how he sees the world. This is also how a man tests emotional safety. By sharing his thoughts with you, he's quietly observing how you respond. Do you listen without judgment? Do you understand his ambitions, his fears, his logic? When you do, his trust deepens. You become not just someone he loves, but someone he respects, and respect for a man is the foundation of long-term connection. He may also seek your input in unexpected ways, sending you photos of what to wear for an event, asking for your take on a difficult colleague, or sharing a dream he's been debating. It might seem trivial, but it isn't. Each moment he seeks your opinion is a window into how deeply you've rooted yourself in his emotional life. You've become his compass, not controlling him but grounding him. A man who seeks your opinion before big choices isn't weak or indecisive. He's emotionally mature. He understands that love isn't about independence. It's about shared wisdom. He wants to walk beside you, not ahead of you. And in every question he asks, there's an unspoken truth. Your voice matters to me because you matter to me. He looks at you differently when you're not watching. One of the most beautiful, unspoken truths about a man in love is revealed not in what he says, but in the way he looks at you when you're not watching. There's a softness in his gaze, a quiet admiration that escapes only when he thinks you can't see it. When you're talking to someone else, focused on your phone, or simply lost in thought, his eyes find you. He studies the curve of your smile, the rhythm of your movements, the little expressions that make you you. That's when his guard drops completely. When a man loves deeply, his eyes become storytellers. In those hidden moments, he isn't just looking, he's feeling. It's as if time slows down for him. He sees not just how you look, but how you make him feel. You'll never hear him describe it in words because he probably couldn't even if he tried. That silent gaze is filled with everything he doesn't say out loud. Gratitude, longing, peace, and sometimes disbelief that you're real. He looks at you as if he's trying to memorize you, frame by frame, so that even when you're not there, he can still see you in his mind. This look is never performative. It's not the way he looks at you during a date or when he's trying to flirt. It's gentler, quieter, and almost sacred. You might catch it accidentally, in the reflection of a window or through the corner of your eye, and he'll quickly look away, pretending he was lost in thought. But that split second is enough to tell you everything. Love has a way of softening even the most guarded men, and their eyes give them away long before their words do. Psychologically, this behavior stems from emotional imprinting and attachment. When a man loves you, your presence becomes soothing to him, a source of emotional safety. Watching you even silently helps regulate his emotions. It gives him comfort the way a favorite song or a familiar scent would. You become his calm, his grounding force. This is why his gaze lingers even in silence. Because looking at you reminds him what peace feels like. Sometimes he looks at you this way when you're laughing with others, and a small smile forms on his face. He loves seeing you happy, even if he's not the reason at that moment. Other times, when you're quiet or distant, his eyes soften with concern, as if wishing he could take your worries away without you needing to ask. That's the emotional language of real love, unspoken but deeply felt. He might never admit it, but his gaze tells you what his heart is too shy to say, that you're not just someone he desires, but someone he admires, someone who makes the world around him feel right. Every stolen glance, every moment his eyes linger just a second too long, is love in its purest, most human form. Because when a man loves you deeply, he doesn't just look at you. He looks through you, into the life he quietly dreams of building with you.